I've been getting a few questions about class diagrams. I'm going to go through how to create them and explain how they work. Typically, if you're using Word, the easiest way to do this is to create a table, and it's always going to be a simple 3-cell table, 3 rows, 1 column, and you can stretch it out. And at the top cell, you're going to have the name of your class. And so let's say the name of our class is student. This is often done in bold. In the middle cell, you're going to have your variables, and they're typically going to be private. And you indicate that they're private by putting a minus sign in front of them. I'll make these a little bit bigger so that it's easy for everybody to read. Okay, so the minus sign indicates that it's private. And really what that means is that only methods inside of the program that you're currently in can access it. You can't have an outside program accessing something that's private. So you don't want outside programs to directly work with your variables. So let's see that we have a student, and we have, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to have student ID, which would typically be a number. And so it's colon, the name, minus sign means it's private, then you put the name, then a colon, and then what type it is. And we're going to keep it simple because we're working with Visual Logic, which just has numbers and strings. So we might have first name, which would be a string, last name, which would be a string. We may have more things than that, but we're just going to keep it really simple at this point. For everything that you have that's a variable or property of your object, you are also going to have a way to access that. And that goes in the bottom portion. And this would translate, depending on the language, into a method or a function, which are pretty much interchangeable. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to put in our, and these are almost always, there's exceptions, but these are regularly public. The plus sign means that they're public. So we're going to usually do what we have, getters and setters. A set student ID would allow somebody to pass a number into it. And so you put that next to it. A set first name would allow you to put a string into it. And typically you're actually going to assign a variable name for this. So STU ID, which is a number. And if it's going to return something, it would come out here. And since this is going to not return anything, that means it's void, because set objects don't return anything, typically. So we're going to pass information in here. So it'll be set student ID, STUID, that'll be the local variable name. It's of a number type. It returns nothing, so this is void. Then we have set first name, F name, string, and again it's returning nothing because it's a setter. Set last name, this is just a local variable name that we'll call last name, string, and it returns nothing. Then we would have get objects where we return information from these. So we'd get what's currently stored in student ID. So we'd have get student ID. And we could use the same variable here if we wished, but typically we're not going to pass anything into it, so it's just going to be returning something, and here it's going to return a number. And we're going to do get first name. Again, we don't pass it anything, it will return a string. And we have get last name, which we pass nothing into, and it will return a string. And we do this because flowcharting does not describe objects. This describes an object. This is what we'd call a class diagram, and we would actually program a class based on that. And if we programmed a class, we would first declare all the variables in the class, which is what we're defining here, and then we would, for each variable, have a way to change the value of those variables, those are setters, and a way to return the value of those variables, which are getters. And typically all of the variables would be private, so they can only be accessed from within the program, and all of the methods or functions to access them would be public, so you could actually call these functions from an outside program. So what you need to do when you're working on your homework is you have to identify what properties something would have, and for each property create a setter and a getter for it.